I know it sounds huge, but it somehow changed my life, like how I manage myself, both personally and professionally. It's really helped me notice, track what's happening for me and manage myself so that I'm more available to the people that I supervise, to in my personal life with my children. And I think it's been amazing to deal with more difficult things, to really regulate from within before I can help other people, and it's been incredibly helpful. So if you're wanting to do level 2, I think it's an opportunity to really understand yourself more, as well as understanding some character strategies in clients you see and other people, and that dual process of understanding what's happening for you as well as tracking what's happening for someone else. Slowing down that process, working slowly and carefully, and being able to trust someone that it's going to work, and it works really well, and you can see some incredible changes.
In level 2, we learnt how to help clients to become more aware of how those beliefs from their childhood live on in their body and hold them back from experiencing rich and fulfilling relationships in their adult life. And we learnt little skills and techniques and interventions to kind of gently disrupt those habitual patterns and learn new ways of relating to the world.
Coming to the end of level 1, I really wanted to do level 2, but I wasn't kind of quite sure what I was going to get out of it. Like the impact of trauma on the body made sense to me. Lots of people know about the sort of fight, flight, freeze response and all of that stuff. So that kind of trauma sits in your body in a sense. I was a bit less clear about exactly what that was going to look like in terms of attachment and development. And I guess for me, the level 2 course just really helped me to kind of understand that quite well. I guess the main sort of thing for me was the discussion around character strategies. Because for me, I had this concept of attachment and having secure and insecure and avoidant and disorganised attachments and, all of that. So I had that kind of concept in my head. And I guess the development of my understanding around character strategies just gave much more depth to, what is the impact of our lived experiences, right from, kind of very small, minimal sort of impact all the way through to that really significant kind of impact of, quite complex trauma. And so it just kind of made sense to me, from a developmental perspective of, okay, so this is what we're trying to achieve at this point in our development, and here's the impact of what our experiences are on that. Yeah, so that probably for me, that was the thing that really helped me the most in terms of conceptualising, why is this person having a difficulty with this issue right now? Where might that have come from, and what's the work that we can kind of do to address that?
Yeah, so for me, after I completed the level 1 training, I sort of went into it wanting to learn more about trauma. But what I didn't realise was that the therapy itself fit really well with my own values and ethics. I just was never really into feeling like I was the expert. I never felt like, people met a label or a diagnostic criteria, even though that's how I was trained. And sensorimotor psychotherapy is just the complete opposite to all of that. You're working organically, you're working collaboratively. There's a lot of creativity with it and a lot of fun and playfulness, and that just really fit with me personally.
Level 2 was fabulous for consolidating the skills of level 1, but also because it was more attachment focused. Obviously, I learned lots and lots of skills about working with attachment and attachment relationships, and how to use the attachment relationship of the therapeutic crucible to aid therapy in a way that I had never used it before, like just really strong, really deep. One of the most important things I learned was that yes, I could trust my guts. I'm initially trained in a discipline that kind of told me that my experience finished with my neck, and it was really important for me to be able to put words to what my guts were telling me. And the theory behind the practices enabled me to put words to all of that. When I finished level 2, my practice was completely transformed. It was just, I'm not the same practitioner and never will be, because not just did my practice transform, but my worldview has changed of the importance of using our body. I mean, we have bodies, we use them all the time, and that's where so much of the information is stored. My confidence in plumbing the non-verbal and plumbing the felt sense is, I had no confidence in that before, and would never have thought to make use of very, very early trauma. What level 2 has enabled me to do is be confident and also have the skills to work with very early trauma that previous to that was inaccessible to me. So it's assisted me to assist people with really early trauma, and that's really, really important for me to be able to do.
I've just finished level 2, and I worked with a young boy, 14 years old, and he had been abused at a younger age by his family, but it also turned out that he had been abused more recently in one of the care experiences that he had. So again, it was actually working with where this young boy was at, noticing, which I think is what sensorimotor psychotherapy teaches us as therapists, is about noticing what's actually happening for the client and bringing that into present moment awareness. So you might say, I notice as you remember back to what Johnny did at that time, that you're swallowing a lot, and then he would notice that, the client, the young 14-year-old, and he would talk about that, and then he would go deeper into that experience. And it enabled me, working with a teenager, to be able to work in quite a unique and different way. He was interested because it was about him and what he was noticing about himself at that time, and he was actually able to stay with that experience and be able to unpack it in new and different ways. I think in level 2 there's really 2 aspects. You're learning about noticing what's happening for the client. You're noticing and you're contacting that experience as you notice it. But as a therapist, you're also noticing what's happening for you, and there's you learn about it as sort of a body-based approach to transference and counter-transference. So as therapists, you become very mindful of your own reaction as you're sitting with the client too. And you welcome that reaction and you stay with it, and you hold that and notice that yourself too. So there's sort of 2 aspects that you really learn in level 2, staying with the client's experience and working with that and using a range of strategies, as well as noticing what's happening for you as a therapist. I'd highly recommend level 2 sensorimotor psychotherapy. I recommend both level 1 and level 2. It gives you so many skills as a therapist, and you can be very seasoned. We all come as students to the course with strong backgrounds in our own fields, and this gives you something else that you can use in your toolkit. And once you start using it, you just can't stop. You've actually, you do it in everyday life. You notice what's happening for people, making you very present as a therapist, very present in the work that you do.
Well, I hope that students will walk away with a real embodied sense of that idea of inner intelligence for themselves and their clients. And also, I hope that they will walk away with a new kind of relationship to embodiment, and kind of an honoring and valuing of the body. And see, because once they really get that, then all the techniques and everything will just come out of that kind of context.